Morning, everyone. Sitting here, Sunday, just chilling. Uh, been doing a little research lately on lithium batteries. I figured I'd try to share some stuff with you guys that I've learned over the last 3 to 4 years of owning lithium batteries. I'm of the percentage that went crazy when I bought my lithiums. I bought the biggest, baddest lithiums I could from Steve Estes over at bassfishingelectronics.com. You guys can look him up. Steve is a great guy, and his crew, they really know what they're talking about as it comes to marine and marine electronics. Anything in that department is he's top notch. So that's a big shout out to Steve over there and his crew at Bass Fishing Electronics. So the last every winter, I we all put our boats away a little bit. If it's ice out and you don't want to travel far. I mean, like right now, coming up on the new year, it's been cold out except for the last 2 days. Most places have ice around here, so we're not really using our boats that much. On occasion, you can head down to the rivers and go striper fishing right now. They're still flowing, so you can still fish. So, that being said, I always do a little research during the winter months on stuff that can then help me be a better angler, be more successful on the water, and I like to share what I learned over the years. So the big thing I've been really concentrating on and spending my time on is lithium batteries, because I'm trying to figure out the best application for me as an angler to be more successful. And now that I've had, probably about 3 to 4 years on me having lithium batteries 100% throughout the whole boat, no AGM, no lead acid, 100% lithium, starting, trolling motor, electronics, everything. I can give you guys a little bit of insight. If you're thinking on jumping onto the lithium scene, or if you're already on the lithium scene and you're thinking about changing things. So the research that I do on a line, anybody else can do it. I just took the time to break it down a little bit for everybody, so you don't have to watch 500 videos and try to figure it out. Because there's guys on here that don't have lithium batteries that want to go that route. So I'll give you the goods, the bads of having lithium batteries. So like I said, I'm of the percentage that went out and bought the baddest batteries I could at the time, which were 125 amp hour ionics. So that at the time was the biggest battery that we could get. Now since then, they got 2, 3, 100 amp hour batteries that you'll never run down. That's good, but it's also bad. So unless you're a guy, and this is my take on it, and some can correct me and tell me if I'm wrong, or put up your what you know and what you've experienced over the last couple of years if you own lithiums. I love everybody's intel on this. So what I've gathered over the time is that lithium batteries, for me, have a happy spot. So happy spot for a lithium battery isn't always at 100%, and you beat it down to say 75%. Because I know with me, with 125 amp hour batteries on my trolling motor, if I run clean water, which means no weeds, just open water fishing, I'm gonna burn on an average tournament around 15 to 20% of my battery life. So that would bring me from 100, if say I was at 100, peaked out, to 80%. We'll go with 80%. We'll say I burned 20%, right? Most of the time I don't. Now, if I fish a weeded lake that's, I'm swamping it up, throwing a frog, doing whatever, I'm going to burn another 10% at least on top of that. Just trudging through weeds, it's a friction on the motor, everything's working harder, you're going to burn more juice. It's just logic. So say we bring that, say we're fishing a day where we're in the weeds and we burn that extra 10 to 20%. So now we burn 40%, we're going to go home after fishing all day. This is just for the trolling motor we're talking right now. So I burn that 20%, everybody does it, we all run home. What do? We back the boat in the driveway, we put everything away. What's the very thing we do before we're all done? Everybody does it. Some do it first, some do it last. We plug our boats in, because we're humans. What we want is 100% every time. We don't want to leave the house with batteries that are at 60%. Even though You could get one more day out of those batteries. Same thing with electronics and running your starting battery. If you run one battery, say 125 amp hour lithium battery for your electronics, I know in my case, I run 5 units, I run 2 live scopes, and I run Mega 360. So I have all that, plus a radio, plus live wells if I'm in a tournament. I will burn down 125 amp hour battery with those if I'm using them hard in an 8-hour tournament. I will burn it down almost to nothing if I'm using everything. And leaving the units on full time, never putting them on standby. Also running a GoPro sometimes, so but that's irrelevant. It doesn't burn much amp hours. So now I get home, we'll go back. So now I get home, I got say 60% in my trolling motor, right? I only burn 40% of the 100% that I'm given. I burn 100% or 95%, we'll say, in my starting battery. Now I'm down to 5% life. That's great. Charge it up. Charge the starting battery up. I know we all have, chargers that charge in 4 banks. If you have, you could have the one battery that's a 36 volt for your trolling motor and one battery for your starting. Now you only got, you got the 2 chargers, 2 separate chargers. Some split it up. Some will charge 36 and a 12. Excuse me. So now I got one battery that's down low. I got other batteries that are up high. So lithium batteries, and what I've taken off of everything I've learned, like a happy spot, they like to run between 20% full and 80%. That's the happy spot. This right here, this 80% to full is burn down. They don't really like that. They don't like to burn down to 80% and to be charged back up. It's no good for your batteries. It's really no good. So if you're a guy like me that'll burn down, we'll say at the max 40% on your trolling motor batteries, you can get another trip out of them. You don't necessarily need to charge those. You're not going to burn the 60% the next trip if you just burnt the max you've ever burnt, 40%. That'll still leave you 20%. You still got a great cushion. And that is going to give you longevity in your batteries. Now, when it comes to the starting battery, what I tend to do, and like I said, I've gathered this over the last couple of years, is I have a separate charger. I have a 1-bank charger, a 12 volt 10 amp charger. So what I'll do is I'll plug that up to my starting battery. I'll leave my trolling motor batteries alone. Let them stay at their 60%, 70%, whatever they may be. As long as they're not more than 50%, because then I know I'm burning more than half my life. Next trip out, I'm going to run out of battery. So the big thing with lithiums is that happy spot. You're gonna burn them. You're gonna burn them out. You're gonna take the longevity of them. Some say they got 5,000 cycles. You might cut that in half. I mean, it's still a lot of cycles. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes bigger isn't better. If you think you're a guy that's gonna burn, 40%, 30% every trip out, then go with a smaller battery. You know what I mean? You can get away with a 60 amp hour battery or something like that. So that way you're burning it down and keeping it inside of that 20 to 80% that the battery likes, the happy spot. Then you can come home, plug it in, you're good. You're always going to keep those batteries in that happy spot. So, the other thing goes with like storing your batteries. Everybody thinks storing the batteries means that your boat is setting for months, weeks, through the winter. That's not correct. That's not correct. As soon as you get off the water and there is no more power being absorbed from those batteries, you're storing your boat. The life cycle on a lithium is like a heartbeat. As soon as the lithium is born, just like a child, it gets a heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. That continues from the day that battery was manufactured all the way through. So the battery's got its own heartbeat. So it's being stored from the time that it's manufactured, the time you're using it, the time you're not using it. Its livelihood is based on all that time frame. It's all a time frame thing. So when you store your boat, say for the winter, right? Everybody does it. We all, like old lead acid days or AGM days, you plug your boat in. If you store yours outside and it's, temperatures up, down, up, down, up, down, we are in New England. The lithium, for lead acid and AGM, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. They don't have an operating temperature like a lithium. They do have happy spots, but they're not as sensitive as a lithium. Where a lithium, anything under the 32 degrees, it doesn't like. Anything very hot, it doesn't like. It starts beating up the cells. So what I've gathered, and this is just a little bit of research, that I've done over the time, because I want to make sure, like I said, I'm successful in the water on how many issues. Is that even me? I've been doing it wrong for quite a while now. I've been charging as soon as I come home. I leave it plugged in. If it's the temperature's right out, it'll just if it burns down, it'll kick back on. That's not good. I've been hurting my batteries the whole time, I guess, from all the research and stuff that I've done. So you don't necessarily want to go out and charge them every time you use them. So, like I said, we'll break it down. We'll summarize it down. So, lithium batteries, they're like 80% to 20%. They don't like 20 to 100%. So you don't burn that down and try to charge it. Burn it down, charge it. Burn it down, charge it. You don't want to do that. You want to burn that battery down so you're inside of that, that 20 to 80% category, and then it's okay to charge it up. But you don't never want to charge to 100% if you don't have to. Once in a while, yes, to even off the cells, definitely charge it to 100%. Get your cells nice and even. Let them burn down. Let them burn down even. Everything is consistency with a lithium. So anything 0 to 20%, no good. That's not a lithium battery's happy spot. Anything from 20% to 80% is fantastic. So keep that in mind. If you're going to get lithiums, if you own lithiums, the burn rate is really detrimental to the battery. So with that being said, we'll go down to it. So we're going to do the 20 to 80% is the ideal spot for a lithium. Try to burn it down even more. The more you can burn it down in your comfort zone of what you use. Like I said, if you have a 100 amp hour battery and you burn 40 amps, you can get 2.5 trips out of that. Would I burn down the second trip? No, I would just do the first one. Do your second trip. Now you should be down in that 20% category, which is right on the border of that unhappy spot. Then charge it back up to 80%, 90%. Try not to go to 100 every time. The battery for some reason doesn't like that. Like I said, this is all my experience and some of the research I've done on lithium batteries and through the manufacturers and stuff like that. I'm just kind of breaking it down for you on my part of what I've done. So like I said, cycling, if you're in that 100 to 80%, cycling in there is definitely detrimental to the cells, the cells of the battery. So you don't want to constantly do that. No up and down, no up and down. It's no good. So what I always suggest, and this is even for me, I'm going to go to this year, is I'm going to actually go back to a AGM battery for my starting. Because an AGM battery can fluctuate. So if my trolling motor batteries are going like this, and I'm letting them burn down, that's fine. They get down to a spot, but my AGM is burnt down here. I can charge this anywhere. There's no happy category for an AGM battery or a lead acid. They'll go up and down, temperature, up and down, where lithium's 32 degrees, they stay like this. They go into standby mode. They will not charge, they will not discharge. That's it. They're dead, basically. Until you put life to them, they will work, but they will not charge. Unless you have them on the charger and you drop juice from them real quick, sometimes you can get the BMS on them to kick in and start charging. And that's what I do a lot of times. If it's very cold out and I'm fishing, I get home, I'll turn the trolling motor on, I'll have the charger plugged in, and I hit the batteries, boom, put some juice to it, it kicks the battery, turns it alive, and it'll start charging for that little bit of period until it gets up to its happy spot. So, myself, what I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to run a AGM battery for my starting and my live wells and my accessories, like little accessories, lights, horn, my radio possibly. But all my electronics are going to run separate. They're all going to be on their own their own lithium batteries, in a different compartment. So, yes, it's a little bit of a pain because I'll have to put in another charger. I'll be running more batteries than probably what I need. But when it comes to my electronics, I don't want to kill those either down. And I know that on a hard day of fishing, I can burn down a 125 amp hour battery. So I'm probably going to run probably 225 amp hours together for my batteries. Because like I said, I can burn those down pretty easily. If you do the math on your electronics, you can actually just figure it out. It'll tell you on the manufacturing page how many amp hours say a Humminbird burns, how many a Garmin burns, how many and what size screen. Everything varies on screen size because it's burning more energy. You can easily obtain that information, and then you can do the simple math in your head. If I'm out on the water and it says I burn 10 amp hours 10 amp hours 10 amps every hour, then you do the math. You're on the boat for 8 hours, you just burn 800 amp hours, right? Did I do that math right? No. You burn 800. You burn 80 amp hours, sorry. It's still early. So you burn 80 amp hours. That's just off one unit. That's not saying that most of them don't burn even remotely close to that. Just throwing math out there so you can figure it out. So if you say you got, let me see if I got a piece of paper here. So if you got 3 units, right? And say they burn 3 amp hours a piece or so. We'll use 5 amp hours. We'll just make it easy math. So we have 5 amp hours. So we got 3 units, 5 amp hours, right? You times that 5, because now you got 5 amp hours times 3 batteries. So that's 15 amp hours over the course of 3 units. Sorry, 3 units. So you got 15 amp hours over 3 units. So that right there, you take that and your average tournament, you're 8 hours, right? You never shut your electronics off, you use them 100%. So now you take 8 times 15, right? Amp hours, because that's you're fishing for 8. You're fishing for 8 hours. You times your 15, and you're at 70 amp hours. So now, just off of electronics, doing simple math, 3 units at 5 amp hours a piece over an 8 hour period, you just burnt 70 amp hours. So if you get a 60 amp hour battery and you run it on your units, your battery's dead. You've lost. But if you get a 100 amp hour battery, that leaves you 30%. That still keeps you in that happy category. And then it gives you 10% off the top if you want to look at it that way. So you can split that 30%. So I'd say put you at 15 on the bottom, 15 on the high. You're good for 100 amp hour batteries. No, 5 amp hours is a little high, I think, on some, and some not. Like I know my Humminbird Soluses burn quite a lot, and my Garmin's don't burn near as much. So that's just simple math. You can do it real easily and figure out how many amp hours you're going to need over the time of your batteries. So yeah, that was just a little take on the research and stuff that I've done. Just make sure you try to keep them in a happy spot, and then go off of that. Don't charge them every time if you don't have to, so you don't kill them. This time of year where it's very cold out, what I tend to do for my lithiums, because I store my boat outside under a cover, under a tarp, so the tarp will obtain the heat, it will keep the heat inside, is I get a ceramic heater, a small one, Walmart, something like that. They sell these little ones for about $20 a piece. And I actually put that in my battery compartment, and I set a temperature on it. And I set a timer on it outside off the plug, that just a regular outdoor timer that you would use for Christmas lights or whatever. And I have it turn on every few hours to try to maintain the temperature in there. And I have a little temperature gauge where I can watch it You can get them on Amazon or whatever, Bluetooth temperature gauge. And I can watch it that way, or with my particular batteries, I can watch it right on my app, right on my Ionic app. Not every lithium has an app. So with that being said, what you do is just go on Amazon. You can get a little temperature gauge, and it'll tell you what's going on back there. Nice thing with the Ionic app is that you can watch and monitor your batteries from the app. It'll tell you how your cells are burning and the whole 9 yards. So that was my take on lithium batteries. I just wanted to give you guys a little intel on what I've learned over the last little bit. And along the way, I'll try to figure out some more information on it if I can. But I think just in the gist of what I figured out, that there is always a happy spot in your batteries. There is a burn down period, and with lithiums, that's kind of where you need to be. Otherwise, you're just hurting your batteries and you're killing your investment slowly. So, all right, guys, that's it on lithiums today, and we'll try to get you some more information. Anything I can do to be helpful with everybody, I'll try to teach you, and I'll try to show you what I've learned. All right, have a great day.